How do we treat others online? This is what I want to be talking about today. So welcome to another episode as I talk about technology, the internet, and young people. And my name is Roland. And yes, this is so important. How do we treat others online? This is so important that we think about it and that we talk about it. And I want to introduce a word that you already know, and that is empathy. But not just empathy, online empathy. And it's so important to know the difference between these two things, because when we talk about empathy face to face, it is easy to teach each other and to teach our young people and our children about empathy, because we can bounce off cues that we see, right? The tone expressions of each other, right? What does the person sound like after we say something or after we do something? Do they sound angry? Do they sound sad? And so on and so on. And facial expressions, how do they look after we've done something or said something? And then bounce off that and then react to that or do something about that, right? It's so easy and we can teach them this. And but when we talk about online empathy, we don't have any of those cues. And this is why it's even more important to teach our children, our young people, about online empathy, on how to be empathetic online. Because like I said, we cannot see facial expressions. We cannot hear tone of voices because everything is written. For the most part, everything is written. And that is why it is so important to teach our children and our young people how to be empathetic online. And why do we do this? Because if they are going to be an impact online, if they're going to be encouraging online, if they're going to be that protector online, and like I said, just to be this overall amazing person online, then they need to learn how to be empathetic. And as you will see through future episodes, how empathy feeds into everything that we do online. But anyway, like I said, this is why it is important. And there are a few things that I want to talk on, some points that will help us to be empathetic and to think about online empathy and what to talk to our young people and children about. And the first thing is so obvious, but it's so important, and that is there are people online. Like I said, the most obvious statement in the world, but we need to teach them this, that there are people behind the screens. There are people online, and we need to know how to talk to them and be careful how we talk to them, because there are people who have feelings online. There are people with emotions online. So the words we use and the words we use have an impact and will impact that person, right? Will they be encouraged, or will they be stressed out? Will they have a low self-esteem? Will they think bad about themselves, and so on and so on? But there are people online, and this is one key to teaching them how to be empathetic online. And then the other thing is our words have power. Now, we've heard this statement so many times, but it always refers to our verbal words, right? Our words have power. So we always think about what we say and watch what we say. And like we try to speak positive and so on and so on. And that is true. But then there's a second part of that, and which is which is written. So our words have power, but it's verbal and written. So our written words have just as that much power as well. So we need to be careful what we write as well. What we write can impact someone else, can either encourage them or bring them down, can tear them down, can destroy their lives, can destroy their friends' lives, or can make them feel better about themselves, can make them feel more confident. This is the power of written words as well. And we need to teach our young people and our children this, that our words have power, verbal and written. And this is to teach every one of us. We need to know this. The next thing that we need to remember as we are online is, if you cannot say it, or if you can't say it, do not write it. And this is a golden rule we need to really adopt. If you can't say it, don't write it. I am shocked and surprised by some of the things I've read online, and to think, if you were in person, would you say that? So again, if you cannot say it, it's so simple. do not write it, because if you can't say it and you know that it's gonna tarnish someone's image, or it's gonna talk bad about someone, or it's gossiping, or it's gonna destroy someone's life, or it's gonna reveal a secret that they don't want you to know about, or whatever the case is, then don't write it. This is a key to empathy, and empathy can guard you from doing that. When you know the power of empathy, when you are empathetic online, you will know that, hey, if I can't say it, I'm not going to write it, because that person is going to be destroyed. That person is going to feel down about themselves. That person is going to so on and so on and so on. So this is so important. And then the last thing, which I've already touched on before, is to pause and think before you speak. And this is an important skill as well, is to just pause and think about pause and think before you speak. A lot of the times we just get online and we just write the first thing that comes to our head, or we say the first thing that comes to our head. But we need to stop, pause, and think. And then as we filter in everything we're about to say and think about everything that we're about to speak, then we can write it, then we can speak it. But this is so important that we teach our young people, our children, to do these things, because this will all help us to be empathetic. So with that, I've come to the end of this episode. Thank you for spending this little time you have with me. I really, really appreciate it, and I cannot wait to see you next week. So see you then. Goodbye.